Hey everyone, me Kevin here with another stimulus check update. So we've got some good news on the stimulus check. Some of this news has already been circulating quite a bit, that they're actually going to start, now that Biden signed the stimulus check bill on Thursday rather than Friday, because remember on Wednesday, Biden initially said, I'm going to sign the bill on Friday, and we're all like, why are you waiting until Friday? Because he signed it a day earlier, this is actually allowing the Treasury Department to potentially initiate a good amount of direct deposits today, which if they initiate the direct deposits today, banks could get them and potentially deposit them in your account over this weekend. So there's a good chance you could potentially see the $1,400 stimulus check for yourself and your dependents and potentially your spouse this weekend. I would imagine that most of these direct deposits will focus on next week, Monday through Friday. But yeah, there's a good chance these will actually be coming over the weekend, which is really exciting. Now, we've got a bunch of questions that were posted in Discord. I'll also be looking at the live chat here, so if you've got questions, asked away. But some of the recurring questions I'm getting, somebody, for example, asked here, if I didn't get my $600 yet, when do I get my $600? So if you didn't get your $600, the $600 was a part of the 2020 tax year. So when you file your 2020 taxes, you can claim your $600 stimulus check, or if you have dependents who didn't get the $600, claim that. If you didn't get the $1,200, or you have children who didn't get the $1,200, now's the time. You file your taxes, and that's when you claim that recovery rebate. If you don't have to file your taxes, then you can go in and you can actually request the stimulus refund by filing the IRS Form 1040, which is like filing a tax return and requesting your recovery rebate. Okay, so then we also have, let's see here, the income thresholds for the new child tax credit for head of households. I believe it's exactly the same as the threshold for the stimulus checks. So the threshold for the stimulus checks is the $75K for single, $150 for couples, head of households, $112,500. So $112,500. Head of household here regarding, and that's for the child tax credit. So they're matching the stimulus check threshold on that. At least the intro. I'm not sure about the phase out. We can double check that though. The child tax credit phase out. I actually have a video on this on the bill itself, and they haven't made modifications to it. So if you type into YouTube, Meet Kevin, child tax credit explained, you'll be able to see it. So, and this is different from the child care dependent credit. So I'll verify that. So I'll circle back on that, kind of like Jen Psaki circles back. So we'll circle back on that, but that's also a really good question. So yes, it is true that they're trying to start doing the direct deposits this weekend. I have two questions. One, my boyfriend was claimed as a dependent because he is disabled but collecting SSI. Will his money come on the card, or will the person who claimed it get it? The person who claimed him will get the stimulus check. If he was filing his own return or a non-filer and nobody was claiming him, then it would show up on his SSI card. The dependent tax credit you were talking about in one of the recent videos, can you elaborate on this more? Right. So whoever pays for a dependent, generally the person also claiming a dependent, whoever pays for a dependent might have dependent-related expenses. That could be childcare expenses. There's a whole host of things that dependent care expenses could be. And basically the way it works is, let's say you pay $4,000 in expenses for a dependent. The government is now allowing you to write off or take a tax credit of 50% of that. And that's actually better than a write-off. So 50% of that works like this. You spend $4,000 on, let's say, childcare for your dependents. As long as you're making less than $400,000, they're allowing you to take a 50% tax credit towards the money you spent. So you spent $4K, you get a $2,000 tax credit, which means you save $2,000 on your taxes. That's different from being able to write it off. Usually the tax credits are better, but it's a 50% tax credit. How much are my parents getting for my 13-year-old sister? $1,400. As long as you fall within the IRS income guidelines for the stimulus check. Is there IRS guidance on the $10,200? No, we're expecting that by the end of the month for unemployment. So unfortunately, it's one of those hurry up and wait situations, which is very frustrating. A lot of people are waiting for guidance on, hey, when am I going to basically get my money back on this unemployment money that I paid taxes on for 2020? But still no guidance on that. I expect I'll probably do a video on that. Okay, so I wanted to verify. I just pulled this up. So regarding the child tax credit, it is what I expected. The child tax credit, which remember, you got three things here: stimulus checks, child tax credit, and dependent care credit. The dependent care credit has the 400,000 phase out. The stimulus check has the 75K, 112, 500, and 150 phase out. And as I expected, the child tax credit matches the stimulus check starting phase out of 75K, 112, 500, and 150. I'm not sure though if they I think they completely phase out. I think they still have the original phase out limits though. So for example, if you're a couple, I think you still have it from 150 to 200 this time though. It was only the stimulus checks that got the phase out sort of got compressed from 150 to a complete phase out at 160. I have a question. I didn't do my 2020 taxes yet, but they have my 2018 and 2019 on file, and they have my direct deposit info from 2018. Will I still get it through direct deposit? Well, I guess the question is why maybe you didn't put your direct deposit information on your 2019, because this creates a little bit of a complication because the IRS has said they're not looking at 2018 tax returns for the $1,400 stimulus check. So for the $1,400 stimulus check, they're only looking at your 2020. And if 2020 isn't available yet, they're going to look at your 2019. So in fact, that reminds me, there was another question here in Discord about somebody said that they filed, let's see, they filed their, okay, where was it? I had a significant income decrease in 2020, which will allow me to be eligible for this time around. I've not filed my taxes yet, though they should be filed this week. Will I get a stimulus check? The problem is, if you just file your taxes, there is a chance you might end up missing where the IRS looks and says, okay, who gets the stimulus check now? This is going to depend to leadership over at the IRS. In my opinion, I think it would be nice and fair if the IRS looked and said, okay, who's filed their 2020 tax returns now? Let's send those out. And then hopefully they look again between now and April 15th. Hopefully. But there's no guarantee. So on this one, I'd say probably 50-50 on that one as to when they're going to look for eligibility again for sending these checks out. Hopefully they pick up all the new filers from 2020. All right. So I filed early for this exact reason. Yeah, exactly. So for example, if your income went down in 2020, you file early to try to get in. Are my kids getting a stimulus check? Me? No, we're not getting a stimulus check. Kevin, I have a question. I didn't have a dependent last year. Let's see. Last year I do, and I filed my taxes. Okay. So if you didn't have a dependent, I didn't have a dependent last year. If you didn't have a dependent, then you're not getting $1,400 for a dependent, right? You'd potentially be getting it for yourself. In 2020, I had $3K in my bank. I started a business, and all my 23K expenses were with Bitcoin. My agent is reviewing. Now I have a 96K net worth. Okay, that sounds like an advertisement for crypto, not a stimulus-related question. Like Bitcoin had a crazy bull run, right? So what else do we have here? So we talked about the income thresholds for the child tax credit. Here's a question. If I'm going through a divorce and have been separated since April 20, and my wife filed 2020 taxes without me, and I'm on disability, will the IRS go off 2019 income for me? So this is tricky. The IRS is looking per social security number. Where's the last moment you existed, right? So if your wife filed 2020 taxes solo, then the IRS should be going off for your social should be going off your 2019 tax return, which would be based off whatever your 2019 tax return was. If you are on or if you're on disability income, you might get it even through your disability payments. But they will use either of those. They're going to try to use whatever they can to determine whether your social security number is eligible or not. Can I get my stimulus paid in Bitcoin? Maybe in the future, or maybe it'll be like FedCoin. So when exactly are they supposed to start depositing money? They're going to start releasing deposits today. So today, actually. But I don't think anybody's actually going to see it show up today because there's a processing time here. And usually it's a banking lag because the payments can transfer pretty dang quickly, but the banks go through and verify transactions. There's a process, obviously. It is possible. The White House is saying this. Maybe they're being overly optimistic here, but they're suggesting that we could see the stimulus check start getting deposited Saturday and Sunday. Housing relief, any new information? No, same information that we've had for housing relief. So you really want to pay attention to either your Department or Bureau of Real Estate for your state, and then your local housing agencies, HUD, community development corporations. You Google those. Google these things: HUD, Los Angeles County, Community Development Corporation, Los Angeles County. whatever kind of local real estate office you can get in touch with. Not like a real estate agency. Don't call real estate agents. But yeah, I filed in 2020. I filed a child in 2020. Do I get stimulus for her? Yeah, you should. If you filed your 2020 taxes and you're within the income thresholds, you should absolutely get stimulus for a dependent as well. I lost a good paying job in hospitality during the pandemic, and now I have been working 1099 as a contractor, making substantially less. Am I eligible for PPP? If you became a 1099 worker prior to February 15th, 2020, then yes. It sounds like possibly the answer is no, which means unfortunately you would be cut out of the PPP. However, you might be able to apply for unemployment and receive unemployment for the loss in income, especially since you're making substantially less now. There is unemployment pay for partial income decline. So when in doubt, you should really apply, especially if you lost your job during this pandemic. These programs are designed for you. Does the $300 boost have to be reported for SSI? I know that the boost isn't counted towards food stamps. Right. So the $300 boost is not income. It's not deemed taxable income. I do not believe, I'm going to have to double check this, but I do not believe the child tax credit boost will affect your eligibility for things like SSI. I'm pretty sure of that. I just can't think of where I read this with 100% confidence. I would say with 90% confidence, the answer to that is no. That is not going to affect you in terms of income because it's not income. It's a tax credit that they're just fronting to you. I want to turn my $1,400 into $1 million. Any tips? Try to buy real estate as soon as you can. I did the rebate credit. Good for you. Good. Thank you for the $4.99 and the $3.99. Not necessary, but thank you. Okay, let's see here. Thank you for the shout out. Appreciate that. I filed my 2020 taxes and they're still processing with my stimulus deposited for 2019 to reflect. Yeah, if they're still processing your tax return, it's up in the air right now in terms of we don't know what the leadership of the IRS is using. Are they looking at processed tax returns? Are they looking at tax returns that are filed? Are they going to look at multiple days? It's kind of a crapshoot right now. We just don't know. Buy the lottery. Oh my gosh, no. I don't recommend that. Do you think they will extend unemployment after September? I think if the economy reopens the way Joe Biden is talking about, by the summer, I would say probably not. I would not expect another unemployment boost after that. It's really going to come down to that unemployment rate, though, so we'll have to pay attention there. So, science. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. So the stimulus is no. So Justin, I've regularly said on this channel that the stimulus is not based on 2019. In any video I've talked about on this channel, I've said the IRS is going to look at your 2020. And if your income went up in 2020, you don't want to file your 2020 tax return because you won't get the stimulus check. Instead, the only reason you would want to rush to file your 2020 is if your income declined. Otherwise, because if you don't have a 2020 tax return in, then they'll use your 2019. But if your income went up and rushed to file your 2020 and you're not eligible for the stimulus check anymore, it sucks. Okay, somebody says, should we amend? I don't know why you would amend. I'm assuming you're asking about unemployment. And I would wait. I would wait for the guidance on this because it costs money to amend. It's a hassle to amend. You could actually end up delaying things by amending. I don't know that with certainty, but I would probably wait for the IRS guidance on that and then just try to be quick on that. Yeah, no kidding. I hope they don't put the money in the wrong bank account. No kidding. I was my 16-year-old nephew's guardian for 2019 to 2020. If I amend my taxes to include him on 2019 and 20, will I get back on stimulus? Yeah, look, if it's unless somebody else claimed them, right? If nobody else claimed your nephew and you end up claiming them by amending your taxes, sure, yeah, then you would be eligible for that adjustment. Absolutely. Kevin, I had twins born February of this year. Yes, so you will claim them when you file your 2021 tax return, which is unfortunately next year. However, when the portal for the child tax credit comes out, probably in June, you might be able to start getting payments for them starting in July. So you want to pay attention. Mark your calendar for June to see if that portal's out yet. If married filing together, we made 160 plus. But if married filing, but if filing married but separate made less than 75K, do I qualify for stimulus? Yes. So, well, okay. So look, married filing separately is usually, and I have to double check this, usually considered solo in this case. So as if you're an individual filer. In that case, if you individually made less than 75K, then yeah, you would qualify for the full $1,400. But you might lose some other benefits. So you're really going to have to crunch numbers on this to see if it makes sense to file separately just to get yours. Let's see here. Vartan, the old 2K, I may have missed this. So tell me what the 2K with the child tax credit at 400K. Are they preserving the 2K up to 400K? That's possible. And that'd be interesting. I'm going to look into that. Thank you for that. So what you're saying there is maybe they would, let's see here. Hold on one sec. I'm just going to write here. And if I have to, okay. So what you're saying is, and I'll look into this because that's interesting. So what you're saying is the $2,000 tax credit would maintain for people making up to $400,000. That probably wouldn't get fronted through the $300, $250 monthly. If that's true, then basically what happens is if you make more than the limits, the 75K and the 150K, you'll go back from getting $3,600 per child under 6 and $3,000 for child under 18. You'll go to the $2,000 limit essentially, rather than going to 0 for the tax credit. That makes sense that they would do that because otherwise it'd be punitive. It'd be like taking away a benefit. So you're probably right on that. And that is very good insight. I appreciate you spending money to say that. So shout out Vartan. But I believe that that is what you're describing. I will double check that, but I think that's wonderful. So if somebody's interested in that, if you make more than that 160, it sounds like if this is true, you might be able to keep that 2K credit. Probably won't get it monthly though. So if you have debt with unemployment, let's see. I'm not sure what your question there is, Kay. Let's see. Do you think this will? I personally do not believe we are going to see another stimulus check. I think we'd really have to see like a second variant takeover for that. So I've already filed my taxes and now owe money. Do you know if the amount I owe will go down after they add the credit? I think you're referring to the a $1,400 stimulus check. That might come out separately. So for example, you might owe money. That might be a bill you have to pay, but you might get your stimulus check separately if you qualify. Usually that's going to be my expectation there. I don't think they're going to mix those. If we got the first 2 stimulus direct deposit, will the third be the same? It should be. If you got your first 2 with the direct deposit, I don't see why the third would be any different. I claimed my daughter in 2019, and my daughter's mom claimed her in 2020. I haven't filed my 2020. Will I still get my daughter as a dependent? If somebody else claimed her in 2020, no. You can only a social security number can only be claimed once. If you're a 1099 independent contractor in 21, but in 2019, 2020, you were a W-2 employee, are you eligible for any of the PPP? No. You got to be a 1099 prior to Feb 15, 2020. Are the income limits gross or adjusted gross? Generally, your income is based off like your qualification for tax benefits goes off your adjusted gross income. That's your AGI line. There's a line on your tax return for that. Adjusted gross income. I got my 2020 tax return. Got my first duplex, congratulations, and a small raise in 2020. My salary is still below 75K. Will I get a check since my income went up? Sure, yeah, as long as you're below 75K, it doesn't matter. You'll still get the check. It doesn't matter if you went from 60. You could have gone from 30 to 74. You still get the full check. I got unemployment in 2020. Should I wait to file my taxes? You might want to because there's going to be guidance on you maybe not having to pay as much in taxes. Maybe wait. I don't like telling people to wait to file their taxes, but in your situation, you might want to wait until, a little closer to when guidance comes out. My wife is due in a couple months. Will we get the stimulus check for our baby? You will get it when you file your tax return next year. And the tax credit, you'll have to add your social security number for that child when the portal comes out in June. Hopefully in June, hopefully. If they leave my new son off my taxes because I don't know if they process my 2020, can I get a stimulus money somehow? If you didn't include your child's social in your 2020 tax return, you'll have to get it later. Maybe you can file an amendment, right? I claimed okay, it just bounced here. Sorry. Will there be issues with stimulus for people who filed with TurboTax? Hopefully not. I mean, honestly, hopefully they got their act together. Hopefully not. Old school run script video. So pertaining to 2020 unemployment, we should wait. Yeah, I mean, I just talked about that. Vegas housing. I mean, a lot of people moving to Vegas. How does the unemployment tax return work for when calculated with my W-2, I lose half my return. Why? Probably because you now have to pay taxes on the unemployment you collected, right? So you're not really losing half your return. You're just paying taxes on the unemployment. But remember, $10,200 of the unemployment will now be tax-free. So that might get adjusted for you. But you wait for that guidance. I filed last year with the non-filer portal. This year I filed with TurboTax. Did I mess up with direct deposit? Not necessarily. TurboTax should get your money and then be able to distribute it to you. And they should fix the crap that the problem they had with the $600. Any info on Rona tax relief? I'm stressing. Well, I mean, other than what we're talking about here. Can I not take the child tax credit and wait till 2021? Yes, but you'll have to opt out when that portal comes out. It's going to be an opt out. No, this is not the live stream for members. The course member live stream starts in a minute. Sorry. So I got to leave here shortly. Do you have to reopen a claim for unemployment if it will be expired? You shouldn't. When they extend this on March 15th, it should automatically extend. You would just keep putting in your weekly claims. Like, do what you generally have been doing. I appreciate this, Redo. Thank you for considering purchasing my courses. I think they're great, but I'm biased. In New York, I lost food stamps because of the $600 boost. That's possible. The SNAP program has very interesting benefits, although there have been laws that have said you should look into the CARES Act on that. There is verbiage saying that shouldn't happen for certain benefits. But regarding unemployment, it's possible that unemployment could replace some of the food stamp benefits in certain states, and each state can have their own rules on that. Did you get my debt collectors? I'll have to look into that because they're saying no on garnishments for like federal and state debts and child support, but debt collectors taking stimulus check money, we'll have to look into that. The verbiage is very, very complicated on that. I've been killing myself as a contractor, making operating expenses. This lockdown pushed me to watch. Oh, well, thank you for that. And remember, the courses you go to meetkevin.teachable.com and the coupon code's down below. Okay, last thing I really quickly want to say. Remember, if you are self-employed, use the PPP. You can now use gross income and get your PPP. Really, really awesome. Okay, perfect. Yes, the highest coupon that's available. This is the one I got right now. Okay, I got to run to the course member live stream. Hopefully this answered many of your questions. I'm excited to start seeing those direct deposits hit this weekend. Folks, we will see you later today.